we had a number of discussions over the years about why or what sustainability meant for Pictet. So we decided at one meeting with the partners offsite that we ought to have some sort of prize that put Pictet on the map in terms of sustainability. I did a lot of research. I thought about books, I thought about documentaries, art, all sorts of things. Who's doing a prize about photography and sustainability? And I thought, that's it.
I remember sitting in Stephen Barber's office, and he said to me, we need to create a photography prize that is the Nobel Prize of photography. So there was no problem there. And so we were very lucky to have a conversation with good friends in Paris who said, you should get the Palais de Tokyo to do this. And I went, yeah, of course we can. And funnily enough, the director of the Palais de Tokyo was one of the very few people in the art world who understood what photography and sustainability might lead to. Right at the very beginning when we started this, museums around the world just had no idea what sustainability was.
We did start it 15 years ago, and for us it's very important to show a generation that if you stick to something and give it a longevity and give it a purpose for over such a long period of time, it actually means something to the rest of the world, and this is a way how you can reach global awareness.
So the first prize took place, award ceremony, at the Palais de Tokyo in Paris in October 2008. And remember, this was at the time of the world financial crisis. It was an extraordinary time. We had managed to persuade Kofi Annan, the former Secretary General of the United Nations, to be our president. That was a remarkable evening then in Paris 2008. We had our first winner.
Mesdames et Messieurs, je m'appelle Stephen Barber de Pictet Londres to hand over the name of the winner of the Prix Pictet, the first Prix Pictet 2008, to our honorary president, Mr. Kofi Annan.
I know we are all excited waiting to hear who the winner is. Benoit Akin. Benoit Akin.
Merci beaucoup. C'est beaucoup d'émotions. Je voudrais remercier la Banque Pictet, le Financial Times.
And the morning after, we were all a little bit bleary-eyed after the dinner that we had in the Palais de Tokyo. And I remember being summoned to breakfast by two museum directors, one from Thessaloniki in Greece and the other one from the Netherlands. Both of them were desperate to take the show on tour. We kind of scratched our heads and said, you sure about this? And the Prix Pictet tour, which I think has now reached 120 venues around the world, started there.
At Prix Pictet, we think that it's essential that we still have the material objects, the art. We still have the framed images on the wall, because that conveys a much more powerful impression than a small image on a phone. I mean, we have submissions that are 10 feet high and 5 feet wide. We have others that are a few inches wide in depth, and they look the same on a phone. One has more power in one medium, one has more power in the other. So it's very important, and for often the judges, when they come to review the final submissions, when they see the work in the physical work, they have a completely different response to those works.
The most important word you said, that it's an independent photography award. It's not driven by bankers or by anything, because we would lose the credibility for the photographers if it wasn't kept independent, with an independent jury, independent nominators, and by sticking to that, this is basically the success of the Prix Pictet, and also of this very rich selection of a shortlist. We are entrusting our jury, our very diverse jury, to form an exhibition each time relating to each theme, which is for any viewer in the museums very special, very particular, and everybody finds themselves in some of those images. They're not always negative, they also are showing hope, they're showing positiveness, and we need to ensure that this remains the same, that you're not walking into an exhibition which might be devastating and only showing devastating images, because sustainability also has positive effects. That's what we always ensure, that everyone is aware of that.
And it's true, isn't it, that we like to have a theme which can be interpreted in many different ways, so that you get different genres of photography, you get hopeful messages, you get sometimes messages of potential despair.
We were always very keen that the theme is not too literal. Simply said, it wouldn't be a beautiful exhibition if it was a too literal theme.
Like plastic.
Like plastic, yeah.
There's been lots of plastic in our exhibitions,
plastic.
but no theme.
Yeah. No theme. And we also, because we've been doing this for 15 years and we were the first ones who actually established such a prize, there also has to be continuity in names of the themes. So when we talk about water, growth, power, these words, they have to be strong and they also have to be surprising for the audience.
The reaction we get is extraordinary everywhere we go. And on top of that, the other thing we did, which I was really fond of, is that we created a book which was to celebrate the quality of the work that had been supplied by the nominees, because it was so good. And each book has included a very nice selection of the work which was nominated for the prize, as well as the work of the winners. And those books have been incredibly well received around the world. And I think we published 12 now. I mean, this seems to be an awful lot. And the other thing we did on the second cycle of the prize is to set up a partnership with the Rencontre d'Arles in the south of France, which is the great photography festival in the world, attended by everybody who is anybody, or anybody who is anybody in the photography world. And every other year we present the new theme, and in the intervening years we do a piece in the great theatre, antique theatre in Arles, with our winning photographer. And there have been some memorable moments, particularly I remember Mitch Epstein giving a performance of his winning piece, American Power, with a cellist. And the thunderclouds were gathering as Mitch was speaking, and the very last note of the cello player, the heavens opened and rain came pouring in, thunder and lightning. It was very, very dramatic. And the second time the elements interfered was when Sally Mann did her piece 2 years ago. She spoke incredibly movingly, but it was her speech had to be delayed by a day because the wind was just too fierce.
I would really like to involve and see the younger generation involved much more in the Prix Pictet, be it in submitting artworks, being engaged, voting through the People's Choice Award, posting it on social media, talking about it, discussing it, giving us feedback what they think about photographers, about our locations where we show the Prix Pictet. And another very important fact for me, and this is also education. We shouldn't forget that a big part of the population in the world can't read or write. And that's why photography is so important, because it transmits the messages much better than a written text for many children. But what we try to do with the Prix Pictet is we try to engage schools, universities, wherever we show the prize.
What makes it stand out is that it really does demand you think about narrative. So we're not a prize for a single image, we're a prize for a series of images. And that was a decision we took right at the very, very beginning of the prize, that we were interested in visual storytelling. We were not interested in pretty pictures. There are other prizes that do that too, but I think our determination to celebrate the series is important. The other thing that I think marks the prize out from other prizes is the way in which we really put the artists first. So their concerns, their considerations, we treat their work with huge respect. The prize has gained a great reputation for the way in which it actually works with its artists.
We now attract often tens of thousands of visitors to exhibitions when we hold them in capital cities around the world. We have millions of online impressions. Nobody today questions the importance of sustainable thinking, the importance of environmental protection, as they did 15 years ago. But we very quickly realized that what we needed to do was to penetrate, if you like, the art and photography world, and that we weren't going to be talking to the environmental activists and so on, because they already understood the message. And so in a way, what the Prix Pictet was doing and has been doing has infiltrated the much wider art world, which until that point very often didn't think of itself as conveying messages. It was creative expression. As one of our very early nominators said, the Prix Pictet is not art for art's sake, it's art for our sake.